StrayAllDay.com.
Tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to stop accepting things that you don't want. Before we get into this, I remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation text messages guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week, respectively. Once we start sending those again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone if you're a member of my text community, which is free to join. So just send a text to the following number, 305-384-6894. And when we reactivate and send messages out again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That's the place where I do all my coaching. That's the place where you can have me as your direct mentor and coach. That's the place where you can get access to all of our trainings, courses, and all of our teachings, strategic teachings, mindset teaching, business teachings, and everything in between. Anything you ever heard me reference on the show, we have trainings on it. That is all open to people who are members of Work on Your Game University. So just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is down below in the description to this episode. With that out the way, let's get into the topic, which is how to stop accepting things that you don't want. Now, we all have things in our life that we do want, and we have stuff that we don't. All right, everybody here can think of at least one thing that exists in your life right now that you do not want to be there, and you have some level of control over doing something about it, but maybe it's not so easy to do it, whatever it may be. We all have something that fits into that category, right? Now, often these things that we don't want are things that we have conditioned ourselves to continually tolerate. We basically conditioned ourselves to allow them to continue existing, even though we know we don't want them. And at the same time, doubling down on the issue, we have no real strategy for removing them from our lives other than hoping that maybe they eventually go away, or if we just ignore it, then maybe it'll just disappear. What we tend to find out often after too much time has passed is that they're not going to go away unless we do something to make them go away. And often most people just live their whole lives with these things. But today, I'm going to bring these to the forefront of your mind and give you some strategies for doing exactly that being making them go away, get rid of them. Point number one, topic once again, is how to stop accepting things you don't want. Number one, make a list. What are the things that you don't want? Actually write them down. Literally make a list of all the things that are in your life right now that currently exist that you don't want them to be in your life. Things that are true that you don't want to be true. Circumstances that you don't want to be the circumstance. Situations that you don't want to be the situation. Identifying and clearly acknowledging the existence of things that you don't want makes it a lot easier to deal with them and to make sure that you're clear on what all of them are, and then hopefully get rid of them when you're aware of them. But if you're not aware of something, then it's hard to do something about it. Again, unless it just happens randomly without your involvement, which usually does not occur in life. Again, you heard me mention many times, people don't change for the most part, except to go backwards. We don't change in a positive way without conscious intentionality. So we have to be doing this on purpose. So you have to be acknowledging these things. We often are too vague and unclear as to the aspects of our lives that we want to change in a certain way, whether we want to have more of a thing or less of a thing. And it's hard to initiate that change because of this lack of clarity. And when we have clarity, it's much easier to initiate the change because at least we know what we're supposed to be doing, even if you're not that good at doing it. So when we give our subconscious minds a clear picture of a goal, it's much more likely that we reach it. And writing things down is a way of giving your subconscious mind a clear picture because now it knows exactly what it is because you had to put it into words. When you have to put something into words as opposed to it being a thought, it becomes much more clear for you because to put something in words, you have to make it clear for, let's say, for someone else to be able to read it. And if you find it difficult to do that, then it's probably also just as unclear to you. So that's why putting things into words does actually give you a better chance of doing something about it because you can see it. It now is real in front of you, even if it's just written down on a piece of paper. So what are the aspects of your life that you are currently unsatisfied with or that you wish you could get rid of if you had the resources to do so? You probably already know the answer. And it wouldn't be hard for you to come up with this list for the most part, at least the first few items. You might have to think a little bit harder for others because some of them may have become so, you've become so normalized in your life that they exist that maybe you don't think about them anymore. But if you thought about this and you started writing things down, I bet you wouldn't have a hard time coming up with items for this list. So get out a pen and paper or open up your phone or computer and start writing. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to stop accepting things that you don't want. Number 2, make a decision. Make a decision. The word decision comes from the etymology of it. The root is a Latin word, decidere, which means to cut off. Means to cut off, literally is what it means. Cutting off every other option is what decision means. You decide that this is what it's going to be, and then every other possibility besides that one, those are all cut off and they are no longer possibilities for you. So now that you have a list in front of you, make the decision that you're going to get rid of these things, whether you're doing one at a time, whether you're going to do them all at once, whether you need to make a plan for each one, whether you're just going to, whether identifying them is enough for you to realize that now you need to do something. Maybe it's easy for you to do it. You could do it within 2 minutes. You just weren't thinking about it. Whatever it is, actually make a decision. The point here is to make the decision that you're going to do something about the situation. You have to actually decide. Again, the root word of decide is cutting off. So that means there are no other possibilities. So once you decide on something outside of that decision, nothing else could possibly happen. It's just a matter of when and how, not if. So there is no alternative outcome to what you've chosen once you've made a real decision. And once you make a decision about what you're going to get rid of in your life, you don't allow it to come back. That's part of your decision as well. This is gone and this is not happening again. Now understand that you may not be able to get rid of everything that's on your list right now on the spot. That depends on what those things are, depends on your how that thing came to be, depends on maybe who or what is in control of that thing, which may not be 100% under your power to do something about. But once you make a decision, then you can at least start looking and moving in the right direction towards fixing the situation, whatever the situation happens to be. And again, you can start planning for how you're going to do it, even if you can't do it all right now. Again, this is a start, even if you cannot complete the job. Even if you can't finish the job right now, it's still a start. And one thing I want to emphasize here on this point, and I'll talk about this more in some future episodes we have of the show, is that just because you can't do the thing right now, whatever the thing happens to be, doesn't mean you should just bail out on the game and not get as detailed and as clear as possible as to what the thing is. It's kind of like if you run a business and you want to start running some ads and you know that you don't have a budget to run ads. So you say, well, I'm not even going to look into ads at all because I know I don't have the money to pay for ads. I would go against that and say, you should still find out what it will cost to run ads or get a ballpark figure so that at least now your subconscious mind and your conscious mind have an idea of what you're aiming for, even though you can't do it right now. So if there's something that you want to change in your life right now, you know that it's unacceptable for you, but at the same time, you know you can't completely eliminate it because maybe it's not completely under your control or it's not completely your call. You still should get clear on what it is and what you can do, and then what also needs to happen based on maybe somebody else's call in order for the thing to occur. So at least you have your brain focused on it. You got the servo mechanism of your brain focused on understanding what the target is. Even if you can't shoot the target today, at least know that there is a target and there's a target that you're looking to hit. You just can't hit it right now because of other circumstances that may be, again, out of your control, maybe above your head right now. Maybe you don't have the resources or the time or the energy or the information or the skill to do things about them, but you know that you want to do it. Knowing that you want to do it is the starting point of achievement, folks. Napoleon Hill called it a burning desire. That is the starting point of achievement, is that you actually want to do a thing. Once you clearly identify the thing that you want to do, again, you don't have to be there yet. Once you've identified it, now your subconscious mind goes to work and now it understands the goal. And when you give your subconscious mind clarity, you are much more likely to reach the goal than when you don't have clarity. Even if you had all the resources and no clarity, you have a lower chance of reaching success in that situation than if you had very few resources and a whole lot of clarity. So get the clarity on exactly what you're doing. And again, just the understanding of what it is and what it would take, even if you don't have it, is a much better start than having a bunch of resources and no idea or no plan or even a target in the first place. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to eliminate and stop accepting things that you do not want. Number 3, stand your ground. Some of the things that you are deciding to get rid of will probably involve other people in some way. Right? How many of you, if you've been thinking or if you've been actually writing, the few of you overachievers who actually been writing down the things that are unacceptable that I just told you in an earlier point of this episode, you've been writing them down. And those of you who are going halfway and you're at least thinking about some things in your life that you want to get rid of and you want to stop accepting, let me ask you, how many things on that list involve another person? And you getting rid of them or stop no longer accepting them in your life would involve some form of engagement with another human being. How many of you have something like that? Maybe it's a person you're dating that you're going to dump. Maybe it's an uncomfortable conversation you need to have with someone who's close to you. Maybe there's a team member on your staff who you need to fire. Maybe there's someone who you've been working with, but you're not feeling anymore and you're going to end the relationship, whatever the situation may be. I mean, you have something that involves another human that you know you don't want to accept anymore, but you have been accepting up to this point. And now that you're thinking about it, you're like, you know what? I do need to do something about this. I'm glad that Dre brought this up on this amazing show called Work on Your Game. So the reason I'm asking this is because some of the things that you're going to decide you no longer want to accept are not just unilateral decisions that only involve you and nobody else even knows about it. They involve other people, and other people will be affected by these choices, right? And remember what our third point is here today: stand your ground. When you start to act on your decision to eliminate some things that you no longer want, it may disturb those other people or disturb your relationships with those people for whatever reason. Again, maybe you're firing somebody, maybe somebody else wants the situation to continue, but you don't want it to. Maybe you have been accepting things to be okay, but you're not okay with them being okay anymore. You want them to be better, or you want to just get rid of them. You don't want them at all. Whatever the situation is, it may affect another person who may not have the same feeling about the situation as you do. So they're looking at it like, damn, all right, this is not good for me, but it may be what's, let me back up. They may be seeing it as maybe you consider it good for you because it serves your purpose and your needs, but it doesn't serve theirs because maybe they like the situation as it is. Hey, that happens in life. Sometimes in life, my goals and your goals are in conflict. And we both can't get what we want because we need each other's cooperation. And you want to go this way, I want to go that way. Well, everybody can't win. This is just how life is. Life involves conflict. This is a natural piece of life. Natural part of life is that there is conflict. So when this conflict occurs, remember our point here: stand your ground. This is where you have to have the fortitude and the mental toughness to stand your ground. And remember that you have made a decision, earlier point, for a specific reason as to why you want to get rid of these things. This is the reason why I gave you the points in order that I gave you. You want to get clear on what it is, then get clear that you made a decision, and now you got to stand your ground when you face some pushback from the universe or from other people about this decision that you've made. Again, and point number one, I told you, write down, not, you can write down in addition, if you want to go even further here, write down not only what you need to stop accepting in life, but also write down why you need to stop accepting it. So you can remind yourself of why the situation is not okay anymore. When you give yourself the reasons, now that'll make it even easier and even more clear for you why you need to do something about it. So you don't have to remember every time you look at it, oh, why do I want to get rid of that again? Oh, well, you got them right there. You got all the 7 reasons why you need to get rid of that thing right there. So this way, you're reminding yourself why they need to go, which will involve getting your subconscious, you can get your emotions involved as well. You get your emotions involved along with your logic. You double the chances that you're going to do a thing and succeed at it. Again, it reminds you and it will fan the flame, so to speak, in your mind of why you need to get rid of something. Because remember that logic alone rarely moves human beings to action, but emotion moves us to action very quickly and very strongly when we plug into the right emotions, which are different for each individual. So you got to be willing to stand your ground when you start to do this, because again, you're going to get some pushback. And sometimes the pushback is even coming from yourself. Because let's say you decide, I don't want to accept being overweight anymore, so I'm going to start working out. But that first couple of weeks of working out, you're going to get pushed back from your body, because your body is like, what the hell are you doing? You used to sitting and eating watching Netflix and eating ice cream. Now you're in the gym doing burpees and running on treadmills. All right, this is very physically uncomfortable. Your body's going to let you know about that. How are you going to deal with that pushback? Are you going to stand your ground when the body says, hey, go back to sitting on the couch? All right, this running thing, this kickboxing class thing, this lifting weights thing, no, we ain't good with this. Are you going to stand your ground when the body gives you pushback? So when you get challenged on a decision that you've made, you got to be ready, because it's going to happen. Because if you allow it to push back and send you back to where you were, then you're allowing the circumstance to basically send you back to the position that you don't want to be in, which is long-term discomfort, even though it may be short-term comfort. So this is just a natural outcome in life, that sometimes your decisions are going to go in conflict with the status quo. Because if you were okay with the status quo, you wouldn't need to make a decision. You just leave things how they are. So sometimes 2 different agendas are in conflict, and you had to. That's why I told you had to make a decision that your agenda is going to win. Because again, this is your life we're talking about, not anybody else's. Whose agenda is more important, your agenda or the agenda of the person who wants you to keep things the way they are, even though it's detrimental to you? Whose agenda is more important, your future self or your current self's agenda? Which one is more important? These are questions you can answer. I'm just prompting you. That said, let's recap today's class. Was how to stop accepting things that you don't want. Again, we all have things that we want. We also have things that we don't want, but we often forget about the things that we don't want, and even the things we want too, because again, we just normalize and it just becomes habit to forget about them and not think about them consciously. Today, I'm trying to wake you up out of that stupor. Number one, make a list. Literally write down all the things in your life that you do not want, and once you start thinking about it, you'll probably come up with a long list, more than you thought there were. And number two, make a decision. Now that you have the list in front of you, decide that you're going to eliminate these things. Whether you can do it now, or you're going to do it later, or you're going to do it as soon as you have the ability to. Let's put it that way, not later. But you need to make a decision that you're going to do something about it. Again, even if you don't have the ability to do something right now, you need to make the decision that you're going to do something, and even better, write down the reasons why you need to do something. Number three, stand your ground. All right, you're going to face conflict. You're going to face pushback. There's going to be friction when you decide to make a change that may be in conflict with either yourself's current agenda, maybe your current habits, or with another person or entity. And you got to be willing to stand your ground because they're going to push back and try to keep you in the same place. The question is, do you want to stay the same person next year that you are today? Most of your answers is no. So therefore, when you get pushback about staying the same, you got to have some strong reasons to stand your ground and not stay the same and actually push through and make the change, even though it is uncomfortable. That said, text me so you're in my community. My number is 305-384-6894. Numbers down below in the description. Also, workonyourgameuniversity.com. If you are not yet a member, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com to work with me directly and get access to all of our trainings, courses, and everything else. Work on your game. Dre, all